Good afternoon, everyone. I see I have a very big class. How are you? It's cold. It's very cold in Newcastle. It's also windy, but I'm in Dundee. I'm working in Dundee. Very cold here and windy too. I hope that you keep warm. Okay, let's begin our lesson for today. We are still revising term 1 and 2 work, and today I'm just going to straddle term 1 and 2 like that. I'll touch on term 1 and also touch on term 2. All right. We are going to look at wheels. We looked at wheels yesterday, but we are going to look more closely at wheels and cranks, because I saw that we didn't do much of that. We are going to do it today. And then we are going to do the impact of technology on society and the environment. Now that is our term 2 work. So this is more like a new lesson for you, the impact of technology on society and the environment. I know we have done parts of that, a part of that when we did the table on old materials and new materials. So that's what we are doing from time to time, revising term 1, then getting new content for term 2. All right. Now, we are going to look into the history of wheels. Wheels are very important in technology. Ever since the wheel was invented, a lot of development, technological development was done based on the mechanism of the wheel. The wheel is one of the most important inventions ever made, because even the gear is a modification of the wheel. The pulley is a wheel, and the wheel, it just got the whole technological world in motion, really. I have tried to get pictures of wheels and give you a historical background of wheels. Now, this one in this picture is what is called the grape cart. So that's the whole structure, and it has the wheel. So I'm showing you even the questions, assessment questions that come with it. So it's both content and assessment in one, right? So the question here, what was the first type of wheel made from? Okay. What was the first type of wheel made from? It was made from wood. We know that today we have wheels made from steel and rubber. But the first type of wheel was made from wood. So in this cart that you are seeing here, this wheel illustrated here was actually made from wood. And you can imagine what could happen to a wheel made from wood. If we could still be using wheels made from wood, what problems could we encounter with such wheels? Let's try to maybe think what kind of problems people encountered in the ancient times when they were using wooden wheels. Who can think? could crack from the pressure and break. Remember that we said structures must be able to withstand forces. Okay. So you're right, Asanda. The wooden disc or the wooden wheel could crack and break. So, wood, I think these wheels looked good, but after they are broken, there's very little that we can do. They weren't so strong to carry heavy loads. Yes, yeah. So, but it was a good invention because a lot of further development started from this basic one, the wooden wheel. Where did the energy for the type of movement come from? The input energy, where did it come from? So the oxen were used as the input, okay? Like this wooden wheel would be attached to a cart. As you see there, it's a cart. So the cart with wooden wheels would be pulled by oxen. So we still see a lot of that. We still see carts being pulled by animals even today, especially in the rural areas, but sometimes it's just done for exhibition. But it's not our basic mode of transport. We have more sophisticated modes of transport today. How was this type of wheel made lighter? Remember, a wheel will have friction with the ground. So if it's heavy, the friction will be higher. So how was this type of wheel made lighter? Let's see. The wheels were hollowed out to make them lighter. It's important that the wheel must be light. That is why we have to inflate gas or air into the wheels that we use today to make them lighter. So this wheel was hollowed out to make it lighter. Okay, because if it's heavy, it will be a problem to pull its own weight. So for the wheel to deal with the weight of the load of the cart, it needs to be light. Okay. Cutting out pieces of wood, yes, Asanda. They were making it hollow by making the inside hollow. They were taking out a wood material from the inside so that it's only the cover that will make up the wheel. So this hollow inside would make making the inside empty. Yes, that's how they made the wheel. So it was quite a lot of work. A lot of work went into the making of the wheel. All right, and I think it was a problem when this wheel was broken, because it should have been a very expensive kind of an item that involves a lot of work that goes into it, but it was a good invention. So the further improvements there we appreciate such an invention. Okay. Okay. What is the purpose of this grinding wheel? It is to sharpen tools. Okay. You still get the same kind of tool in carpentry workshops. you have a machine that has a wheel, a spinning wheel, then it has some sandpaper attached to it. Then that is what you use for sharpening. So this machine has been modified. You still have it even in modern times, just that it is powered by electricity. Why would the wheel continue spinning even when the tool is placed against it? It's because this wheel was heavy, okay? So because it is heavy, when the rotational movement is taking place, it would continue being carried on by the weight of this wheel. Okay. Right. And then we have the potter's wheel. This is the wheel that they used to make pottery. Can you tell me one item, one pottery item that you know? So that I can see you understand what this wheel is for. One pottery item that you know. Making the inside, or a mug. Yes, a mug. It's a pottery item, a pot. What is it that they use to make this mug or a pot? I was hoping someone would say a vase. Yes, clay, they use clay. So this pottery wheel, the potter's wheel, it would be set in motion while the potter is busy working on the clay there, so that while it is spinning, the potter would shape the clay with his hands to get a desired shape of the vase or whatever item he's making on the wheel. Okay, so you understand the purpose. To cast pot. So that is the purpose of this potter's wheel, to cast pot. But you know, there are many other items that can be made from this. Yeah, we still have these, although they are powered by electricity now, and they are better modified than ones that we had before. How are these wheels powered? They were powered by hand or foot. Today, they are powered by electricity, but in ancient times, they were powered by hand or foot. You understand the potter's wheel, eh? Then you have another wheel, the captain's wheel. The captain's wheel. So this wheel, it was used by sailors. Okay. The questions there are, why do the sailors go around in circles? The answer is they are turning the handle of the wheel. What is the purpose of the captain's wheel? It is to pull up heavy goods. Okay. Would it be easier to turn the drum if the handles on the wheel were longer? The handle on the wheel? Yes. Okay. So this, it works more like those pulleys that I think the pulley was developed from this. Would there be a disadvantage if the handles were longer? The sailors would have further to walk, would have to walk further if the handles were longer. So this is what is called the captain's wheels. Natalie, do you want to speak? Please unmute and speak. It was used to aboard a water vessel. Okay, very good. A water vessel in a ship. Okay, so when you want to use a water vessel, then you use this captain's wheel. Very good, Asanda. Okay, any further questions? Okay. So this is the captain's wheel, which was used on ships. It is a vertical axled rotating machine developed for use on sailing ships. Okay. Now, we did this yesterday, and I brought it in today again. All right. This is the crank. It's also a basic mechanism. I could see that you are doing it in a hurry. That's why I brought it in today again. Right. So I want us to go through the questions on cranks. Okay. What is being used to tighten the wheel nut? The answer is a crank. You have seen this crank in your parents' boots. Okay, it's very important that every car has something to untie the nuts of the wheel. So this comes in different shapes. This is just one of those tools, but this one is a crank. Okay, I think all of them are cranks actually. Right, the force used is 50 newtons. This is the force that is used to untie the nuts. Okay. Right, the length of the crank arm is, it is 0.2 meters. Okay. The twisting effect of a crank depends on both the force applied and the length of the crank arm. The crank multiplies the effort. Okay, so the crank will multiply this force, which is 50 newtons. The crank, that is the input force. The crank multiplies the effort. The longer the crank arm, the more effort is multiplied. In this mechanism, speed is decreased, but force is increased. Okay? The input is the force applied to the crank arm. The output is the wheel being tightened. Okay, in this case, they are tightening the wheel. So that's how you analyze this. Okay, so the length of the crank arm, this is the crank arm. The length is 0.2 meters and the input force is 50 newtons, and this wheel is being tightened. So the length of the crank arm will multiply this input force. The speed is slower, the speed of the whole system, but the force is great. So that is the mechanical advantage of this crank. I hope it is clear. Then, that was mechanical systems and control. I was just touching on those areas that I feel that we need to polish before our assessment. Now, getting into term 2 work, right? I hope that you're all okay with term 1. Let me check. How are you feeling? Do you want me to go anywhere? Go back to any aspect before I move to this environment, the waste and the environment? Lesedi, you're okay? All right, thank you. Right, now, we are back to term 2. Remember last time we talked about the materials that people use today and how those materials impact on the environment and the society. Remember that, maybe you don't remember because you're still young, but some time ago, when we went to the shops to buy groceries, we were just given free carrier bags, and those carrier bags are plastic bags. But today we buy plastic bags, and actually they just don't give you plastic bags by default, but they ask you, every time you go to the shop to buy some items, they ask you if you need a plastic bag, and then they make you pay for the plastic bag. Why was that decision made? That this decision was made because of the big problem of pollution. Plastic bags were all over the environment. Plastic bags were causing a lot of pollution and a lot of harm to animals and the environment. For instance, on the farms, cattle and other livestock would be harmed by the plastic material that they eat out there in the field. And farmers were also affected by that. In the sea animals, marine animals, and also river animals, they were being affected by the amounts of plastic and other waste that they were consuming. Fishes were dying, birds, you know, some fish would swallow plastics. And to conserve our nature, a decision was made that we need to cut down on the production and the use of plastic. Now, I want you to look at the waste in this picture. Okay? So this is supposed to be a power station. In this power station, what is being used? Water. You can see there's a reservoir there for water. Coal is being used, and that is being used to generate electricity. You can see those electric pylons going out of the power station, indicating that that is transmission now. The generated electricity is going out to the public to use. Okay, what is the residue? What are the byproducts of this production? what are the byproducts of this generated electricity? You get synthetic materials that may be made from coal. You get waste gases. You get liquid waste. You get solid waste. I like that heap. I wish it was made even bigger, because the truth is the heap of solid waste is not the size. It's quite big, but you get solid waste as well. Now, all this is harmful to the environment. This is air pollution. This is water pollution, because probably it's going to be discarded in a river. This is just environment pollution, just those heaps of industrial waste that are still lying around in most areas, especially in Johannesburg. Even in my area, you can find that. So we need to learn in technology how to deal with such. This is just an example of pollution, the amount of pollution that is contributed by industries. The truth is, we need electricity, but how do we deal with this, the yellow stuff? How do we deal with it? Okay. Now, coming closer, because now I said that was industrial. Coming closer home, last time we talked about ways of dealing with domestic waste. Here it was industrial waste. This is not the end of the story of waste. We do have domestic waste. How do we deal with domestic waste? This is a compost heap. Okay. What goes into a compost heap? Old vegetable waste. Also, garden waste, when you're cleaning up your garden, when you are raking up the leaves of your yard, that goes to a compost heap. Okay. How can a compost heap assist you? What is the benefit of a compost heap? How can a compost heap help you? Please chat to me. How can a compost heap help you? It enriches the soil. What else? If you are a gardener, this compost heap will assist you because it will fertilize, it enriches the soil and helps to maintain moisture. Okay? And remember, if you don't make a compost heap at home, you still, maybe if you have a garden or you have grass, you are going to buy chemical fertilizers. And these chemical fertilizers, they have a negative impact also. They do cause an imbalance of the ecosystem because they may be good for your garden, they make your grass greener, but they have other adverse environmental impacts. So this is very good for your garden because it makes you avoid those chemical or commercial fertilizers. So it's very important that we make one of these, if we can, as far as we can, make one of these. Because if you don't do this, you are going to dump your rubbish somewhere and it's going to cause pollution. This is one of the responsible ways of dealing with domestic waste. Okay? Now, this is weekly waste from a household that does not separate items. You see, this is what we normally do at home. You just throw everything into the dustbin. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Is this how you discard your domestic waste? It's messy. It's messy because from your, Natalie, from your home, it goes to the dumping site. And there at the dumping site, these plastic bags will fly, will be blown away by the wind. And these are not easy to separate like this. Somebody must now take their time to separate this waste for recycling. What are other people saying? A clean freak. Am I a clean freak? Not quite. We are just trying to be responsible. Okay. I'm not quite such a clean freak. But it would be best if we could separate our domestic waste so that we can take it for recycling. Okay. This is how you sort your domestic waste: glass, plastic, tin, and paper. So it's easy to take this for recycling. Because if you dump this, it's going to be harmful to the environment. This plastic will not rot. These bottles will not rot. But if this is recycled, it is put to good use. It makes products that will be circulating again in the market. This could also be reused, okay? And there are many items that can be made from recycled products. I have since learned that from recycled plastic, industries make blankets. Some of the clothes that we wear that look like fur, they are made from recycled plastic. There are many, many items. You can research them, look them up in your Google and see what can be done with recycled plastic, a lot of good things. But if it is, if it's not sorted, it is discarded like this, it has a harmful effect on the environment. But if it is like this, it is put to good use. And these tins also, they can be recycled. When they are recycled, other products are made. And the waste, it will be circulating in a good way. You want me to go back to the factory picture? Okay, I will. There. Okay. So this is a responsible way. This is a responsible practice of discarding domestic waste. Right, waste separation. It is good for the environment if you put different kinds of waste in different garbage bags or boxes. This is called waste separation. For example, if you put all your glass waste in a box, then that glass can be taken by a waste collector to a factory that makes new glass bottles out of old glass. This is much better than if the old glass lies in a rubbish heap. We say that glass can be recycled. Okay. Now, tell me, if glass is not treated responsibly in the environment, are you aware that it can be dangerous? What are the dangers that you can experience of glass that is not discarded responsibly? Even tin, Natalie, even tin as well, okay? It can cause accidents, okay? Imagine glass that lies around in playgrounds or tin that lies around in playgrounds. It can be dangerous for the users of the same environment. And it is unsightly. It doesn't look good, but when we as citizens treat our waste responsibly from our homes, then that will not happen. The environment will be taken care of, as well as the safety of the people who use that environment. Now, look at this. Okay, this is a river. Obviously, we can all see that. There's a lot of waste here. I can see plastic, wooden logs. This looks like some polystyrene, paper, all sorts of waste, domestic waste. This is domestic waste. That should have been separated like this to take for recycling. But if we don't recycle, if we don't discard our domestic waste responsibly, we are doing harm on the environment. Now, what will happen to the animals which live in this water? They will be harmed. This is a hazard to the health of the users of this river, being animals. And in the rural areas, people even fetch water from the river. They will die. They will get injured. This is how you get fish that have plastic stuck in their bodies. Okay, and we have beautiful animals living in water, even crocodiles, all sorts of animals. So this will harm their environment. This river is a home to many other animals. And if we do this, we are going to endanger their lives. That is why we have endangered. Yes, yes. They have to live here, yeah, yeah. Also the animals that drink that water. So we should be considerate to other creatures that we share our world with. If we are considerate, our ecosystems will be stable. Imagine today we have endangered species. Because of this inconsiderate handling of the environment and this inconsiderate dumping of domestic and industrial waste, many animals die, and they are endangered. That's why we have types of animals which are now called endangered species. This is because of human activity like that. Okay. Right. What happens when things are thrown away? What are the differences between waste materials that have been lying outside for a long time and those that have been there for a short time? The older pieces have been subjected to weathering. Okay? That is, you understand what weathering is. The older pieces have been subjected to the natural elements, the sun, the wind, the cold, and the heat. So all that brings about weathering. So there are things that rot, okay? They degenerate back into the environment, but others will just lie there for ages and ages. Which types of materials change a lot with time and which types of materials did not? Okay. The non-biodegradable materials have not started to rot or decompose. We classify waste materials into degradable, biodegradable, and non-biodegradable. Okay? Biodegradable is those materials that can rot and disintegrate back into the environment. And non-biodegradable materials are those that do not rot. They will just lie there for ages and ages. Can you give me examples? Examples of non-biodegradable materials. An example of non-biodegradable materials, metals. Metals, steel, also glass. Metals, they decompose because they oxidate and they rust, but at a very slow pace. Okay. Do materials change more with time than others? Let's see. Yes, some change quicker. The biodegradable materials will decompose at a rate depending on what they are made of. Plant material decomposes quicker than cotton. Paper decomposes quicker than wood. Iron-based metals will rust, but aluminum corrodes much slower. Non-biodegradable materials decompose very slowly. The thicker they are, the slower the process. And the whole time they are lying there in the environment, taking their time to decompose, they pose a danger to the users of the environment. What happens to things that are thrown away? Okay. What do you think will happen to plastic bags that lie in the environment for more than 10 years or 100 years or 1,000 years? What will happen to it? After 10 years, they will still be whole. They will still be the same because plastic doesn't rot. Okay, they will be in the environment for hundreds of years, very slowly decomposing. After 1,000 years, they will be almost gone, but the plastic material they are made of will still be there. It doesn't rot. So you see, plastic is a very, very bad material in the environment. Another question, do the plastic bags that are thrown away as waste just get more and more? Or do they biodegrade? Or do they go somewhere else? The answer is they continue to accumulate over the years. They only biodegrade after hundreds of years. If we don't recycle them, they won't go away. So that is why we have to be extra careful with plastic. Yes, Asanda, it makes our environment filthy and it becomes a problem for the creatures that use the environment. Okay, now that is a lesson on the environment, okay? These are the things that it's not as difficult as mechanical systems and control, but you have to learn how to answer these questions, okay? You have to know how to classify material into biodegradable and non-biodegradable materials. Okay, thank you, grade 9. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.